where 9 European nations are now seeking for a fresh interpretation of conventions to allow a passage for countries to deport immigrants with a criminal background. The leaders from Italy and Denmark have addressed a joint press conference in Rome announcing that an open letter has now been written to the European Convention on Human Rights.
We want to start a public and political discussion on certain European conventions to which we are bound, and on the ability now by those agreements to tackle the big issues of our time, starting with migration, as a few decades have passed since they were signed.
I would like to say that, of course, many people who have entered our countries are living a peaceful and good life in our countries now. I am especially worried about all the crimes in Europe committed by people coming from outside. And I have to be very frank when I'm saying that it's simply not okay entering one of our societies and with our hospitality commit crimes against our countries and our population. It's not okay, and it has to be stopped.
Now, the 9 countries who've signed the open letter include Austria, Belgium, the Czech Republic, Denmark, Estonia, Italy, Latvia, Lithuania and Poland. Leaders of all signatory nations say that the existing interpretation of the Rights Convention by the European Court of Human Rights has prevented the authorities from deporting immigrants with criminal backgrounds. All right, my colleague Will Denslow is still with us from Brussels. Well, this issue of immigration is such a hot potato within European Union nations, but the fact that these 9 nations are seeking to address is that they want to have a relook at the human rights conventions to which they are signatory to, because these conventions have oftentimes come up when they want to deport these individuals who are immigrants with criminal backgrounds. How do they intend to take this forward?
You're absolutely right, and the timing of this is significant considering the fact that recent data suggests that irregular migration is actually down some 25% here in the European Union. But as you rightly mentioned, these 9 nations, including here in Belgium, government suggesting that the European Convention on Human Rights is essentially dated and doesn't provide individual member states with the autonomy they say is needed to subsequently tackle migration how they see fit. They believe, and this letter states, that essentially globalization over recent years has meant that the flow of people has changed on a scale that really dates this existing charters, these existing norms that are included by the ECHR, which is why they're calling for these rules to be changed. Of course, this is an incredibly politically divisive issue. We saw that play out in last year's European Union elections, where migration really was front and centre for many people heading to the polls across the European Union. And there are huge divisions. The European Commission has come out just this week with amendments to what they propose to be their migration plans, including the right to return and what is classified as a safe third-party return for those who were rejected their applications to stay in the EU. So this will be certainly a political issue that will continue to ramble on.
Absolutely. Thank you very much indeed, Will Denslow, for joining us with all those details then. For all the latest news, download the WION app and subscribe to our YouTube channel.